Hello everyone, today is Saturday, April 6, 2019, and yes, I'm titling this video for a good cause, because officially, we are the second forgotten borough in the city of New York. And today, I'm going to be giving a few examples why. First up with our bus service. I got screwed by the Queens Village Depot twice this week. You saw the video back on Tuesday. Thursday, I didn't want to film because I was just angry as it is, and I didn't want to rant again, because it's just the same thing. It's repetitive. I don't want to keep doing it. But when I see an issue, if it's a breakdown or vandalism, you know I'm going to document it at least. But 228 bus to Elmhurst was missing. Or it was probably because the depot has been in a rush to send out the new Nova buses that the tracking devices haven't been installed. So I told Andy Quinto, right after my experience, that I don't see the bus on bus time. I'm just going to walk home from Union Turnpike. I can thankfully do that, because I am getting sick and tired of dealing with their antics. I still have a theory that they're hiring people from Transdev. I still think there are some people who used to work for Transdev, and now they're coming out to MTA. There's some kind of corruption going on at that depot. I still think there is, which I'm not going to get into anymore. But at least I've realized that one thing's for sure. Mechanical issues, I just don't want to do them anymore. I just don't. I'm tired. I'm tired of doing it. I'm tired of doing it. So if anybody's asking any daily content, no, not anymore. Unless it's a breakdown, or unless I see some vandalism. Or if I see the bus is dirty. That's when I'm going to do it. The outside of it. The inside, that's a different story with the trash. The drivers are that's the driver's fault. They should really be picking up the trash in their buses. They really should. That's all I'm going to say. Especially how that one time where I complained about trash. Oh, it's a public bus, it's a public bus. Yeah, that's the MTA. Supposed to have higher standards. It's your responsibility. Clean your buses. This is what Darryl Irick says. Is your bus clean inside? Exactly. I don't even think the drivers watch committee meetings. Or they even watch the board meetings. They should. They should. They should know what's going on with the MTA. They should. But that's one point of what the issue is how bad the depot can get at times. And I'm on close watch, so I don't know how that's going to end up. The second point I want to make up is that recently, I saw this on Pix 11 News, that there was a hotel in Bayside recently, and there were these 12 sex offenders. All these men were allowed to stay at the hotel because Department of Homeless Services, who, by the way, is influenced by Mayor Bill de Blasio, were allowed to come out to Bayside. And think about this. If this happened in downtown Brooklyn, Park Slope, oh no! It's our constituency, Mayor. I thought you cared about us. No. This mayor wants to dump everything in Queens. All he wants. And here's another thing. I'm going to criticize a couple people. Number one, John Liu. Yes, I'm calling him out again. My so-called state senator. He's on Pix 11 just to be a face. Like a supporting cast member of the de Blasio agenda. He's there yesterday at a press conference, briefing the press. And you're like, oh, we had all these men. Shame on the city for letting this happen. Yeah, it happened on your watch, Senator Liu. It happened on your watch. This is exactly why I was hoping Palladino would win the election. I'm still mad about that. To this day, that's the election I cared about. I'm still mad about it. Because we would have had a candidate who was going to look out for the people. Look out for our interest. Instead, John Lewis just looking out for de Blasio. That's all he's doing. At least with Palladino, Vicky Palladino, she understood that we were in a quality of life emergency. We're facing that right now. The whole city's facing it. The mayor right now has the power to declare a city emergency. Or I think it's a state of emergency, or whatever it is. On our quality of life, because I'm going to get to the bums in just a second. The bums are becoming another problem. And then I'll promote a channel that's doing Long Island issues, because I really don't want to do Long Island issues anymore. I'm trying not to, because, remember, that my battle's here in Queens. I'm from here, and I don't want to leave anytime soon. I don't. And in case you're wondering, I'm in my basement today, because my dad's showering, my mom's making breakfast upstairs, so at least I have the door closed. But, my point is that John Lewis just there to be a character. That's all he's doing. At least with Avila, if I ever had a problem, I would talk to Avila at least. Me and him were on good terms. Believe it or not. He was actually a centrist. And me and him saw eye to eye on a lot of the issues here in Fresh Meadows. He actually wanted to get rid of the bike lane on 73rd Avenue. I spoke to him when he was still, because I told Tony that even though I'm supporting Vicky, that, listen, if I win my primary and I beat Palladino, you have my word. If you have a problem, you can still talk to me. And meanwhile, the John Lew people said, oh no, we don't want to deal with Mr. Pollock's antics in the Palladino campaign. They literally were saying, oh, you have a problem? Deal with it on your own. I'm still happy I got those 25 signatures. Those hot, humid days were worth it. They were. They were. I even got sunburn on my neck because of it, but it was worth it. I made sure that the people in this district were educated. That they had a person that was going to listen to them. The first part of the mission was done at least. I'm still bitter about it to this day. And if Palladino was around, she would have criticized the de Blasio administration harder. Instead, John Lew's just there saying, that's how much of a joke it's become here. And then, we're going to get to the bums right now. We're going to get to the bums, and why the cops are also there being a face, like a character. So, when I was filming the Jamaica Center Summit, there were these weird Caribbean guys panhandling going, boom, boom. And there was a guy in a wheelchair. I think if you rewind back in the Jamaica Center Summit, I don't know if I got him on tape, but if I didn't, okay, it doesn't matter, but he was panhandling. The cops were right upstairs on Parsons Boulevard, right where Archer Avenue and Jamaica Avenue meet up. And what really made me upset was they're just there standing around doing nothing. They're not giving summonses out. They're not arresting people. They're not doing stop and frisk anymore. Where's the broken windows policy? We used to have that. This never happened when Bloomberg and Giuliani were the mayor. Never happened. Instead, Mr. I don't care de Blasio, and I'm blaming him for the problems. I'm blaming him. He doesn't care about Queens. The last time he came out to Queens, if I'm correct, was to get votes. He's never in Queens anymore. Never. At least Giuliani came to Queens every other often he could. Even after 9/11, I remember he went to a firehouse in, I think it was, I don't know, it was somewhere near the Queensboro Bridge, because they were called to respond after 9/11, I think, and, well, during 9/11, and he thanked the firefighters for, you know, the ones who made it out, thankfully. He thanked them. Imagine if de Blasio was mayor around 9/11. You know how bad the response would have been? The city would still be a mess. God forbid, I hope it doesn't happen again, but... My point about the bums is, it's gotten worse. I tried reporting that bum a couple weeks ago. I have a private video I'm not going to upload because that's evidence, and I only have that in case the police want to see it, but pretty much the guy was like, "You called the cops on me? You called the cops on me?" I couldn't get a description of what the guy was wearing. They're two MTA employees. They should be the ones calling their station manager and letting them know to call the cops. And by the way, I think this was, this last week, no, 2 weeks ago. Right, was when I was going to, Bowery and Canal. Guess what? The bum was allowed to hang out on the Jamaica platform. The cops were chasing somebody who jumped the turnstile. They saw it. Thankfully, they were there to give the guy a ticket. Which, by the way, if you're caught jumping the turnstile, you get a $100 ticket. Just for doing that. I'm still annoyed that there's no cops at my home station. We need cops. Whatever they're going to do, they're just going to be there being a face. They're just there just for acting purposes. Because they're not allowed to do their job anymore. They're not allowed to stop and frisk, use violence, broken windows. They're not allowed to do that anymore. Because de Blasio said, "Do you want to lose your job?" And even before de Blasio, Jamaica Center was a mess anyway, but back in the day when Bloomberg was around, they were allowed to do that at least. They were allowed to. And what's even worse is, the MTA police in Penn Station now have to fend for themselves. Where's the regular NYPD? Why can't they be in Penn Station? And the only reason why I'm bringing that up is because, once again, there are people who come from Queens who use the Long Island Railroad and go to Penn Station. And they have to see the bums hang around there too. It's awful. Really is. And the worst part of it all was, I heard that foreclosures, since January, have gotten up. And what's worse here in Queens, and this is the worst part in Queens, is that, I'm sorry, the cops are hiding this from you. They're hiding this from you. They don't want to tell you this, but I'll tell you this. Since January, and I heard it from somebody, I'm not going to say who, vandalism on the subway, specifically in Queens, has gotten up to a drastic rate. I've seen it, other people have seen it, but guess what? The NYPD is hiding this information from you. They are. Chief De La Torre is hiding it from you. I know this for a fact. Those numbers should be up since January. This time last year, and again, I'm not going to name my source because then I'll get in trouble for saying it. Vandalism in the subways in Queens specifically was less. Less. And even I can speak up for those stats. It's gotten really bad, folks. And I'll quickly mention that specifically the worst lines for vandalism were the E and the F. That's what I've heard from those stats. And I heard some crazy stat that there's some spiked incidents along the Ditmars line, but I can't clarify that point. But it is happening from what the source told me on the E and the F a majority of the time, because you have the bums hanging around. And remember, when I did that video back at Jackson Heights Roosevelt, that Jamaica-bound train on the F was vandalized. So, pretty much, this is what we have to deal with. And the foreclosures are just going to get worse because people are seeing what's going on here in Queens. They don't want to see sex offenders hanging around a motel in a suburban area. They don't want to see vandalism going up. They don't want to see bumps panhandling and the cops doing nothing about it. You know, I'm going to be serious. I'm even afraid to call 911 anymore. I'm being serious. That's how I reported the panhandling. And I tried reporting a second incident. And this bum, this is on the Manhattan-bound E-train, when I was going to the March Madness party about 2 weeks ago. Guy called me the N-word. So you see how bad it's gotten. You've seen how bad it's gotten. And what's worse is, I had to see the bums sleeping on the trains. And guess where it's happening? Here in Queens. Unacceptable. Really unacceptable. This didn't well, it occasionally happened. I didn't see it every other often, but it did happen on occasion. When I first started to take the subway, it was just the bum sleeping. And there was a bum that, I think he got on at Forest Hills. No, it was Jackson Heights he got on at, on the E. This is when I was about, I'd say this is when I was 13, when I first started to ride the subway. And, didn't look bad, but now the bums have just gotten worse. They've gotten, the mentally ill issue is the problem. Also mention this, that the Creedmoor patients are allowed to come out during the day. I've even been hearing that the Sucker patients are even allowed to leave during the day. And they're fair evading on the buses. So when Charles Mulder is right, he's right. And Charles, you need to see how bad they're hiding stats from you, Charles. They're hiding stats from you. The vandalism's one thing with the subways. But look specifically at the number of the bus evasion statistics in Queens. Because they've gotten worse too. You don't think it's getting bad in Queens? The people are avoiding to pay the buses? They are doing it. They're getting away with it. And I'm sorry, but Select Bus was a stupid idea. People are variating on Select Bus. I've heard that on the 44, there's a lot of people who've been variating. Because the old system, you would just put your Metro card or your change in. There's no collector checking to see if the tickets are being collected. That's how bad it's gotten. Telling you right now, my battle is here in Queens. That's where it will always be. I feel bad for the Long Island people. I can't do it anymore. I can't. I have to save Queens. I have to save Queens. Queens is still a resource. We still provide the city a resource. We don't deserve to get treated like this. We don't. You need to stop. I'm going to keep fighting. And yes, still going to call them bums. That's what they are. They're ruining my Queens. They're ruining it. Been living here all my life. This house specifically for almost 15 years. Thankfully, Fresh Meadows isn't gotten bad yet. And I'll quickly mention, there's been cars going on, but that's normal. 73rd, that's always normal. But imagine that they put speed bumps. They were thinking about putting speed bumps here. Imagine if speed bumps were on my street. I wouldn't be able to get sleep. Literally, they'd be every few minutes. Even my neighbors agreed on that. And I'll even tell you one bad thing about Queens before I wrap this all up. I read in the Chronicle last week that Polly Trottenberg, the commissioner of the New York city DOT. Right where the construction zone is on Union Turnpike where the Grand Central Parkway meets up, they've torn down trees. And they want to plant artificial ones. And in fact, 2 weeks, actually no, this was last weekend. I went on the 30th with my dad. By Northern Boulevard and the Cross Island, they did the same thing. They're tearing down trees. It's unacceptable. Really unacceptable. We've had trees here that have been here for many years. But I'll say one good thing about Queens is that thankfully our power lines are modern. Thank goodness. Because we have so many of them here in Queens. The reason why I didn't lose power during Sandy was because of the underground sewers. Still had the power cables. That's another reason why I don't want to move to Long Island. Long Island, overall, no matter where it is, North Shore, South Shore, middle of the island, they have a weak system. They really do have an outdated power grid system. Especially the middle of the island. I've heard from Pine Power LI that, especially in Mineola, no matter where it is in Mineola, that I've heard that the power lines are completely outdated. And I know that he's going to speak to a couple people and get that fixed, because PSE&G Long Island should really be looking into replacing those power lines because they're outdated. But here in the city, I'm just thankful we're fine if we get another hurricane. I won't lose power. I won't lose this building. Maybe I'll lose scaffolding like I did in 2012. But I'm going to say this again. I'm working for Queens. And that's what this channel is going to be about. If things start to get bad. There's going to be more rants like this. Because the media won't tell you any of this. And I'm telling you right now, don't even think about visiting here. Don't. Because this is not where you want to be right now. Our transportation system is lacking. We have bums hanging around sporadically all over the borough. It's not where you want to be right now. Oh, I know, not to mention, people can't pay for their mortgages, so now their houses are going into foreclosure here. Because they know how expensive it's getting. You can blame Cuomo, but the reality is, de Blasio is raising New York City property taxes. And I'll quickly mention that my dad saw another spike this year because de Blasio rose the taxes again. The city tax. The state tax is, I'd say doesn't affect us that much, but the city charges us more for just for being on this land. They do. They do. And thankfully, this house won't go into foreclosure because my dad paid off the loans when Bloomberg was still around, thankfully. And it was easier back in those days. But you can't pay your mortgage? Can't pay back your loans? It's very alarming that I have to read online that foreclosures are going up here in Queens. It's really disgusting. So I've said all I could say. I'm done. I've spoken for almost 25 minutes. And I'm going to say this again. The fight for Queens continues. I will be your voice. If you have a problem, come to me. Come to me. I will be there for you. You see something wrong? Let me know. Let me know. Comment below on this video. Let's have a discussion. Follow me on Twitter at AndysRandomness. Email me if you have any concerns. I'll gladly email you back. Andrew718pollock@gmail.com. You're more than welcome to email me. I'm willing to listen. No matter where it is in Queens. I'm going to be your voice. Fresh Meadows, Little Neck, Douglaston, Ozone Park, Howard Beach, Woodside, Astoria. No matter where it is, I'm going to be your voice. If you have any issues and you want me to bring it up, I'll bring it up. I'll bring it up on this channel. So that being all said, Thank you all for watching. Until the next one, please take care.